it's already listed.
Are you an agent? For who? My license is
With who?
Capital A.
My wife's agent. We have to go through him.
I wouldn't buy it personally.
That's why we don't want to. It's in St. Charles.
All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the January 21st, 2016 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. At this time, I request everyone please turn off or mute your cell phones and stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Applications for the conditional use permit request and rezoning request will be heard during tonight's meeting, and the commission will vote on these applications and make a recommendation to the county council. The applications will then be scheduled to be introduced before the county council at the Monday, February 9th county council meeting. Public comment for conditional use permit request will be taken during tonight's meeting and at the county council meeting on Monday, February the 9th. Public comment on conditional use applications will not be taken at any meeting of the county council held thereafter. The following documents are introduced as a matter of record for tonight's evening public hearing and regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. There's the Unified Development Ordinance of St. Charles County, including the zoning maps, the year 2030 Master Plan for St. Charles County, which includes the year 2030 Future Land Use Plan map, and the Rules of Order and Procedure for the Planning and Zoning Commission as adopted by Resolution 2101. I see we have a quorum. Do we have a motion to open the meeting?
So moved.
For a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Just so everybody knows, Chairman Ellis is not able to make it in person to tonight's meeting, so he is joining us remotely. So you'll hear him in the background over the speaker. And we also, just to kind of give you a little bit of the lay of the night here, we will open the public hearing after staff and the applicant have an opportunity to present their request. At that point, we will swear in the individual, and you'll have 3 minutes to give testimony on the item or the request. After the public hearing, there will be no more public comments offered. We'll bring the application back here to this commission, answer any questions that the commission may have, and then potentially put a vote on it at that point. At this time, are there any changes or additions to the agenda? Seeing none, we will move into our first action item, which is application RZ 2514. Property owner is Peter Rook, Jennifer Rook, and Chris Mercer. The applicant is 110 Highway F, and it is currently zoned agricultural with a C1 proposed zoning. This is 3 acres in Council District 2. Staff.
Yeah, so I got a presentation that I put together for this application. You might remember it from last month. Originally it was C2. The amended rezoning request was actually for C1 Neighborhood Commercial District. And the area that they're trying to rezone is 3 acres out of the 10 total acres. And the property is currently used as a single-family residence. The image on the screen shows the approximate area they're proposing to rezone to C1. As mentioned at the last meeting, the applicant intends to create an office, wellness, municipal church, or private company lease space. The applicant is here tonight, so he can kind of speak to his intentions better than staff can. But just site information, like I said, the parcel's 10 acres in size, and there's a subject, or there's a residence on the subject property with an outbuilding closer to Highway 94 South. When you look at the surrounding land uses, you can see the red stars there are all primarily single-family residential homes, and then yellow is yellow is actually applications that have came through the Planning and Zoning Commission. The closest adjacent one with the little red triangle, you might remember an applicant got county council approval to rezone from A to C1 for the purposes of a meat shop. That never happened. They ended up finding a location on 94 in downtown Defiance. When we analyze these rezoning cases, the three things that we really look for is the 2030 master plan, more specifically the future land use plan, the range of potential uses under C1 zoning, and land use impacts to neighboring property owners. As you can see by that picture, the neon green, neon yellow, whatever you want to call it, those are all primarily agricultural future land uses, and the beige tan colors are future rural residential uses. And a lot of that area has the agritourism overlay, given the county's southwestern portion, the wineries and such down there. The range of potential uses, now that it's C1, they're less intensive than C2. C2 is our most intensive commercial district, but the range of uses is still pretty broad and wide to what can be proposed to be developed there. For land use impacts to surrounding neighbors, the nearby area is primarily rural residential and agricultural farms, and the commercial node of the area is pretty well established in downtown Defiance, just down the road about a mile. We notified all those agencies. We didn't receive any comments back from any agency. There was 51 landowners in the notification radius, and as of today, we have received 7 letters of opposition. With that being said, county staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend denial of this rezoning application.
Any questions for staff? We'll invite the applicant to come forward. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalty of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Peter Rook, 110 Highway F, Defiance, Missouri. Thank you for the opportunity to present my case. I think when I look at the permitting process, we're kind of a victim of the inequity of the zoning rule. Because of what was mentioned by staff, the broadness of C1 uses, I think creates a propensity for everyone to take the complete negative view of what could possibly happen here. So I want to narrow it down. And although I don't have a definitive plan, I think staff represented it very appropriately. Our goal is to build a development that will provide office use for health and wellness services, a doctor's office, a dentist's office, a chiropractor's office, things that will be functional for the community. As you guys well know, there's going to be a huge amount of development coming up in the Defiance area west of this location. The Howells have decided to sell their ground. They have 850 acres, and they are going to build houses. There's additional development. Our emphasis is providing services in the Defiance area to reduce the traffic flow out of Defiance. Some of the opposition mentioned traffic flows. Well, this would actually reduce traffic flows fundamentally, because if people are not driving past that stoplight to go to address the services that they need that would be present there, it will reduce the traffic. Our future projected use will be a 9 to 5, 9 to 6, a general business office use. It shouldn't impede anybody's lifestyle, no more than the gravel trucks that drive up and down and the grinding machine that goes on 24/7. I hear it every day. I live there. But in the final point about the development is that I look around my neighborhood and I have, of all the oppositions, I have the nicest house. And I live directly behind the site. So if anybody is going to be interfered or lose property value directly, it would be me. If I look at my neighbors and I think of Defiance as a neighborly community, these people have been the benefactors of quietness and peacefulness for years and years. What I'm addressing here to you is you're the curator of the future. You are the balance between future growth and services and the citizenry. I appeal to you as a citizen myself and as a taxpayer myself that I have invested in the county and want to reinvest in a very productive development that will provide future services that will scale with the region. Now, we will provide whatever landscape buffer, whatever accommodations need to be met to maintain privacy and comfort. And all of that can be worked out through the site plan and detail process. But I appeal to my neighbors, some of which do not maintain their houses very well, that you should consider the benefit of the full community. We have a growing community. The businesses in Defiance are boxed in. There is no commerce. Originally, when Defiance was founded, commerce was created because they needed it to survive. Now we have the luxury of saying no when we know the need is going to be there in the future. So I appeal to you, take that into consideration as you address our development. And I thank you for your time.
Any questions for the applicant? All right, thank you. At this time, we'll open the public hearing for application RZ 2514. Anyone wishing to speak on this application?
Guess I get to swear.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth under pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the
My
record.
name is Lawrence Crane, C-R-A-I-N. We live at 2564 South Highway 94. I'll tell you what, if you could pop up that map that you had on 2 or 3 slides back. Because I brought one along with me, but that may work just about as well. I'll just get started. Yeah. Once we get this up here, this actually shows the whole area around the property, and as you can see, it's with one glaring exception, all pretty much residential and farm. Go a couple more back from that, if you would, please. Oh, okay, thank you. Sorry, didn't anticipate this little festivities. As I say, I'm a retired Air Force officer, retired small businessman. My wife is a retired nurse and now an active artist. We have lived here for 35 years, and we in fact live right here, which up there is, see the circular drive? Just kind of to the left, that's us, okay? We have basically that all the way back to Femme Osage. The property in question, as you can see, is the is surrounded in red and is in fact about half of that. It's the rightmost half. But I'd like to just briefly talk about this other red scar. Because a few years ago, this council basically changed that to a commercial property. As the staff said, they didn't in fact build the building that they said they were going to do there, but it is still commercial. And if you look at what they're talking about, this applicant is talking about doing right now, he's going to add 3 times as much space commercial as there was already there. Now, I fully, agree that he might have plans, but if you turn that commercial, those plans don't make a lot of difference, either immediately or sometime down the line. That can be turned into any commercial property that's verified C1. I don't think Buc-ee's is going to move there, but a gas station is not at all beyond the question, as is a liquor store or any other much higher volume. That being the case, and like I say, I live now right across the street from what they're talking about extending, we would ask that you recommend against this. It's just not a good thing for the neighborhood. And as you can see, it effectively quadruples the space at risk for being turned into something unpleasant. As a matter of fact, I'd like to make a counteroffer. If the current owner of the red spot, whoever that is, I don't know, it may be these folks or somebody else, would be willing to do so, I will buy that property for $5,000 to $6,000, and I will donate it to county, just so I don't have to do this again in a couple more years. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Thank you, sir.
If not, I will get out of your hair. Thank you for your attention.
Anyone else wanting to speak? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Norm Keller, 211 Lee Street, Defiance, Missouri. I live about a half mile away from this winery that's proposing this project, and,
Hold on. We're on the F and 94 property,
oh, I'm sorry,
so come back up on the next one.
okay, sorry.
Anyone else wanting to speak on RZ 2514? All right, seeing none, we will now close the public hearing and bring this application back to the council or commission. Does the applicant have anything else to add, or anybody have any questions for the applicant?
I got a question for staff. Okay. Reading through a couple of the letters, one of the letters said that it could be developed into a wedding venue. Is that possible?
I'd have to look through the code. I don't have that off the top of my head. So I'd have to get back to you on that.
I was just looking through the code, and basically the C1 Neighborhood Business District would allow offices, banks, churches, personal services, florist, group home facility, institutions, kennels, lawn care service, park or playground, personal services, including art studio, barber shop, beauty shop, laundry, etc., and retail stores, public schools, private or commercial recreational facility. And then there's a list of conditional uses that would have to get specific approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission and County Council. So it's, office, retail, personal services, institutions, and things like that.
Okay.
So no gas station?
Convenience store would be a conditional use in that district.
Okay, but they'd have to come back and
Right.
request that.
Yeah.
Can I say something? Sure. Okay. And this is kind of what my first opening statement was, is that the category, Bob, is just so broad that it creates so much misperception and fear in the neighborhood that I think it does the applicant and yourself somewhat of a disservice. because you have to make that ultimate decision, and I understand that's a tough one. And I understand, you know, I appreciate they're living for 35 years. That's why I invested $1 million in my house. I mean, I am fully committed. I lived in Defiance for 7 years. I would never do anything. I am a proven business owner. So, you know, I have a reputation to uphold, not only in the community, but for myself. I'm a God-fearing man. But again, that broadness is where I think all the problem is. If we could just narrow it down, I will commit to you, sir, that I would not put up.
Speak to us, speak to us, speak to us.
Sorry. That I would not put a Dollar General there, that I won't put a convenience store. But apparently, I can't write that provision in there. It's not something that can be done. So how do I then respond accordingly? I bought a piece of property. It's my God-given right to use that property to benefit my family. I'm not trying to do anything illegal or obtrusive. So again, I understand. I'm just appealing for the right move forward, considering the circumstances of growth in that area.
Mr. Rook, I have a question for you. So initially, your request was for C2, correct? Am I understanding?
No, that was a confusion.
Oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So
we
that's
never had
why-
an intent.
Okay, so that's why it was tabled and brought back
That's
as
correct.
a C1, because it was a mistake. And you're
That's
wanting to put
correct.
in medical offices?
Well, I would like to do a soft office complex
Okay.
for doctor's office, business office, chiropractor, dentist, hair salon, something that is a generator of services for the local community. So they don't have to drive. Right now, everybody that's going to move into Defiance and Augusta has to drive 35 minutes to get anywhere. That is part of the traffic problem there. They have to pass through that intersection to get anything. If there was some level of commerce in Defiance, the traffic would probably reduce significantly. But because there isn't, you know, the traffic flow is always going to be the same.
I have a question, and I apologize if I missed it, but how big of a building were you wanting to put on the
Well,
land?
on the 3 acres right now, we have a 7,200 square foot barn. But the property lends itself. That can be converted into offices. There's enough room for parking and maybe some outbuildings, a nice out office building, obviously built to county specifications and approvals. We don't want to put up anything shy. The barn was approved by the county. It's unoccupied now. We use it for storage, but it can be separated into separate office units.
So,
Can we put the picture back up? I guess I'm not, because I thought the barn was outside of the 3 acres.
No, the barn's contained within the 3 acres.
I think that is what he's talking about, is the barn.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess if you magnify it a little, you can see. Yes, that's a 7,200 square foot barn. Brand new.
what is that on the left?
That's
that-
my house.
That's your house, okay.
So as you can see, if you look at the entrance from F, the gravel driveway coming up towards the house, it veers to the left in this case, that goes up to my house. The property corner, the proposed is at that corner diamond there. If you draw a line perpendicular over to about relatively the corner of the barn, thereabouts, that represents the 3 acres that we are proposing. Therefore, I'm going to build a barrier. As you can see, I live right behind there. I'm not going to build a Dollar General or, you know, a mini market in front of my house. Whatever Larry does or does not do with that property has no relevance to my zoning issue. That's the decision you guys made. It should have no impact on mine. As this gentleman said, the combination of those, I don't control that ground. And therefore, assuming that that would become a larger development is, I think, an unreasonable assumption, one unfounded for sure. So, you know, we do have relative access. The one component to this is that frontage has a Highway 94 address already. The original house farm, working farm, was 2501 Highway 94. So there is utility service already located and a post box located at that site.
Any other questions for the applicant?
We have staff after this, right?
Yeah, could you go back to the one that showed where his house was?
We're done with the public hearing. He needs to sit down.
We've already closed the public hearing.
We should probably tell him that.
So your house is within the 3 acres?
No, that's my house right there. The 3-acre separation would be dividing that, just drawing a line from the top of your slide to the bottom at the corner of the barn, relatively speaking, right in this neighborhood there. Yeah, a little more over, towards me, this way. Down, right there, about right there. If you cut that straight along to that point, that's the 3 acres. My house is directly behind there on the same property. So whatever happens on there, I will look at 24/7.
And you could enter it from both F and, with the plan, both F and
94.
94.
And I would dedicate just the 94 entrance to the first 3 acres and maintain the entrance off of F to my private property. There's 700, I believe it's 700 feet, Jared, of access along Highway 94. It may be, it's 114 feet of frontage access that's represented by that line that runs continuously along Highway 94. That would be the primary entrance to the development.
Ultimately, that would be dictated by MoDOT, whatever they approved.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we've already closed the public hearing on this one. So there'll be no more public hearing on this application. Any other comments, questions from staff?
Yeah, I have a question for staff. So when I'm looking at this application, it's still showing as being requesting C2. Clearly, that's not the case. It's now C1. And as we go down and look at where it says has the analysis and the land uses, it's a little confusing by reading this which one it is, because it talks about C2 and the uses of C2. And then later on, it says that you recommend denial of this application. So the question I have for you is, now that it's C1, is your recommendation still denial? And if so, what are the reasons for that? Are they the same as the C2, or are there other reasons?
Yeah, I don't have the agenda pulled up, or the packet pulled up in front of me, but we did a revised staff report, and it was still recommended denial.
I don't think we have that,
Okay.
because the one we have still says C2.
What I have shows C1.
The cover page has C1, but then on the staff recommendation, it still has the C2, and the paragraphs reference uses under C2, not C1.
Yeah, but the recommendation still stands for C1 zoning as well.
Are the reasons the same, or are there different reasons?
Essentially, like I said, the range of uses are less intense. It's kind of like the middle ground between our CO district and C2. Similar to the triangular portion at the intersection of 94 and Highway F, we also recommended denial. Just examining the development pattern of the area, what's existing there, commercial doesn't seem like a good fit there, which is why we recommended for denial.
And as a point of information, the agenda calls for C1, Neighborhood Commercial District.
Would you-
Yeah,
would
no,
you-
it does.
So it's
just
the
that-
staff report.
Right,
that's-
the
yeah.
staff report is confusing, yeah.
Would you have recommended CO?
It's hard to say. I don't want to speculate without doing deeper analysis.
I mean, one of the key things is the master plan calls for future agricultural uses with the overlay for agricultural tourism uses. There is commercial zoning and industrial zoning about a mile away in the town of Defiance, unincorporated town of Defiance. Admittedly, those lots, a lot of those are small. But that's one of the factors that we use for the analysis for this property. I don't think that would change that much for CO as office commercial as opposed to neighborhood commercial as opposed to general commercial. But that's really a judgment call. It's up to you in terms of what your thinking is. Ours is strictly a recommendation from our point of reference and does not include the public testimony. That's another point of reference.
Any other discussion or questions for staff? If not, we'll seek a motion to approve RZ 2514.
I will motion that.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We'll call roll call here. And Ms. Barr, how do you vote?
No.
Mr. Niemiller?
No.
Mr. Quinn?
No.
Ms. O'Mara?
No.
Ms. Kushner?
No.
Mr. Ellis?
No.
Mr. Baker?
No.
And I vote no. That one does not pass. We will move on to our next item. This is a tabled item on the agenda, so I believe I need a motion to remove it from the table. Is that correct? We have a motion to remove CUP 2510 from the table for discussion.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of removing CUP 2510 from the table, say aye.
Aye.
No objections. We will now open back up for discussion. If I recall right, we'll start with staff, but if I recall right, we did the public hearing last meeting. We closed the public hearing, went into discussion, and we had some questions for the applicant, from what I recall, and the applicant wasn't exactly here with us. So we asked his representative to come back to this meeting so we can reopen it and open this back up for discussions, if that's what you guys recall from last meeting here. And staff, if you guys have anything else to add, if not, we can have the applicant come forward and we can ask any questions that we wanted to last month about this application. So.
Nothing, there's been no proposed changes. I still have the presentation if you guys want me to do an overview of it. It's really up to you.
You guys want to? Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead and pull it up. So this is located at the Defiance Ridge Vineyards on Highway 94 South, at the intersection of Highway 94 South and Darst Bottom Road. This is a request to expand or amend CUP 17, which allowed for buildings to conduct weddings, wedding receptions, or other parties. At the time, they were not proposing any site improvements. They were just using what was currently there. And the CUP area and the parcel area is 42 acres. This kind of just gives a rundown of the previous CUPs that were proposed at the time. The main request is the two highlighted portions. One is a proposed wedding venue. It's about 6,800 square feet based on our calculations, and then they're proposing to improve a parking area for 180 parking spaces directly to, I guess that would be the northwest of the building. That's a elevation photo of what the proposed wedding venue would look like. There's also a 2,400 square foot attached deck, and it's 2 floors. There's a lower level and then a main level. As I said, they're going to be adding approximately 1.25 acres of gravel for parking area. I do want to clarify the default in the code in the site plan section is for paving, and that can be waived with a dust-free alternative, but it's not. That's the default is pavement. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind. They're also proposing 18 lighting standards throughout the parking lot to light the parking area. The surrounding land uses, there's multiple residential properties. The closest ones are all border Holden Road. They're kind of sandwiched between Holden Road and South Highway 94. The yellow stars are non-residential properties. When I say non-residential properties, they're primarily just vacant agricultural or agricultural farms themselves. When we looked at this for consistency with the existing CUP, there are a couple conditions that we suggested be amended and added. One of those was a type 2 landscape buffer on the western and northern property lines. It's our understanding that there's mature trees there already. Those can count towards the buffer requirement, but any areas that might not be sufficient would need to be filled in for that landscape buffer. It's hard to see from here. We're also asking for a 6-foot vinyl site-proof fence on the northern property of the parking lot to block lights from going into the neighboring property owners who have residences. We want to block that, try to block the headlights from going onto their property. As we always do, we notified all the listed agencies there. There were 65 landowners that were notified in that circle. As of today, we've received 15 letters of opposition, 65 signatures of opposition, and 1 letter of concern. Similar to last time, based on our analysis provided in the staff report, the Planning and Zoning Division recommends approval of the proposed CUP amendment along with the updated conditions found in the staff memo.
Any questions for staff? This time we'll ask the applicant to come back forward, and I know when we tabled this, we had some questions, so if you got anything else to add, and then I'm sure this group may have a couple questions about the space as well.
Right, so I prepared here it is, a presentation, first off highlighting the plan area. This is slightly revised and updated with respect to showing a little bit more detail regarding the northern property boundary there and then the western boundary and the parking lot and the proposed building. One thing I did want to point out with respect to this plan is that...
Kyle. Oh, sorry. Do you solemnly swear or confirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth under pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Please go ahead and say your name and address for the record real quick.
My name is Brad Pryor, and my address is 200 North 3rd Street, St. Charles, Missouri.
Awesome. Thank you. Apologize.
No, you're fine. But so this plan, it's extremely similar to the previous plan that was submitted in front of you. There's one slight change, and this was thought of here recently, but in this left corner up here in the top left there is the potential for doing a proposed construction access right off of Holden Road into the property so as to avoid during the construction processes having to travel down through the property and potentially lessening a little bit of the disturbance with respect to the nearby residents. But again, this plan is extremely similar with respect to what was previously presented. Last month at the Planning and Zoning meeting, there was a few concerns raised by the commission. The first being the venue capacity. So the first issue I guess I want to make clear is that There is the restaurant slash winery component of the operation, and then the event or the venue, the special events operation that were authorized throughout the conditional use permit history that Jared had presented in his presentation. Now, with respect to this proposed building, and the reason why we are here seeking this conditional use permit amendment, is that the idea is to present, or to build and erect a new indoor event wedding space. And with respect to the specific numbers, the question that was raised regarding the current numbers and then the proposed numbers, so the maximum number of wedding guests that could currently attend at the current property in its current state and what it right now is 250. The proposed number in the new venue is also a maximum of 250. Now, the average size of weddings that Defiance Ridge sees is anywhere right now from 135 to about 150 guests. And really, when you look at the current status of the current facilities with respect to weddings, it's in serious need for update, and that's really the driving force behind this project and the request here in front of you tonight. One other item that was brought up as an item for concern was the issue with respect to 2 events on one day. And really the focus there was, is there going to be a situation where there's a wedding in the current existing area and a wedding in the new proposed area? And the answer to that is that occurrence would be rare, if ever. And I have a typo here in this slide on my second line, and I apologize for that. But not only will there not be 2 weddings, and the most likely on a double event day would be a bridal shower, a baby shower, something in the morning, that then in the evening there may be a larger event in the new event center, right? The idea there is that while there may be 2 events, they're not going to overlap in time with respect to when those events are occurring and when the guests will be on site. In this last point here, in the rare event that there were 2 evening events held simultaneously, it's very unlikely that either event would have maximum capacity. And the reason for that is, right, there's only so many resources that Defiance Ridge has to provide services to its guests with respect to these types of events. So there's you know, confidently I can say that the chances of there being a situation where there's a 250 person event simultaneously at the new proposed building and a simultaneous 250 person event held at the current property, or the current venue as currently situated, is extremely unlikely.
Remind me, you have 180 parking spaces?
So the proposed lot, and I didn't so there's also with me tonight is other representatives with the development team. So there's some specific technical questions that I may refer to them. In that one, I believe the proposal on parking is 160 spots? Or, okay. Right. Right, so the 180 is what, but that's additional to what's currently on site.
Oh, so there's already parking?
Correct.
Okay. How many parking spaces do you currently have?
The current parking spaces, do you have I mean, there's no exact.
Enough for 250 people?
Right, right. There was also, I wanted to address a few other quick concerns that were raised at the last meeting. There was discussion with respect to how the water service is, and that came in connection with the question with respect to whether or not there'd be sprinklers required in the proposed building. The water, it's served by the Public Water Supply District, so it's on public water. It's not serviced by a well. So in the event that the building requires sprinklers, we will be able to meet that requirement and all other requirements with respect to that situation. Sorry about that. And then the other thing I wanted to discuss tonight is kind of a highlight of a few of the proposed conditions and a request that the commission consider amending those conditions. So the first 2 pertain to condition number 6 and number 7, and they relate to the timing in which that events can occur. And both of them pertain to generally applicable an 11 a.m. start time, 11 p.m. shut-off time. The 11 p.m. is for the weekends. As you see in here, it's a 9 p.m. for those weekday events. Now, the request that we have is to, instead of having that be an 11 a.m. start time, as if we were able to bump that up to 10 a.m. Currently, the operations, so the current condition doesn't have a limitation on the indoor operation of, or an indoor event. And so there are currently right now events that do begin at 10 a.m. Consistent with the current conditional use. And the request would be to amend this condition to allow that to continue and then keep it consistently with the indoor and outdoor both having the opportunity to have events that begin at 10 a.m. And then the final request with respect to the requested revisions here is that, again, the general 11 p.m. on the weekends closure time we have no issue with, but with respect to the one night a year on New Year's Eve, if we could have a stipulation in this condition that allowed operation until 1 a.m., that would be appreciated. The next condition here that I want to discuss a little bit is condition number 9. This pertains to the landscape buffer. So staff has recommended a landscape buffer on both the northern section of the property line and then this western section of the property here. As Jared pointed out, right, this area is mainly composed of mature trees, and as you can see here, there's green space forested area to this way and then Holden Road, and then this area is a wide open field. So our request here would be to remove the requirement for the western landscape buffer, given the fact that these trees already are in existence, and that buffering and the intent behind the buffering requirement is met by the natural currently existing landscape. And then number 11 pertains to the site-proof fence. We're not against making that area along the northern side of the property site-proof right here, but our request would be, instead of having to install a fence, is if we can achieve that through an evergreen planting or something similar. The reason being that in order to put the fence in, there would have to be existing vegetation and trees that would need to be removed, and from the standpoint of the buffering idea and sound and mitigation from that standpoint, we don't believe that removing trees would be beneficial or in anybody's interest. And finally, so with respect to the master plan, the area is designated as agricultural tourism, right, intended to promote tourism and economic development, allowing for certain non-residential and non-agricultural development. This plan, it meets that requirement. It brings tourism, it brings economic development to the area. Defiance Ridge has been operating and is requesting here to have this proposed building to continue its operations. So we asked here tonight for a favorable recommendation on this amendment to the conditional use permit. Again, I will be here for questions, and there's individuals associated with Defiance Ridge. Should you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
I do have a question for you. You mentioned that you'd like, could you go back to the one about New Year's Eve? So, okay, where is that? I'm sorry. Oh, on the bottom. Okay, no objection to the 11 p.m. end time. However, we request to revise the condition to allow operations to occur until 1 a.m. on New Year's Eve. Question on that one. You said to allow operations to occur. Number 7 says all amplified sound indoors or outdoors shall be limited to 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. on any day except for Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays and legal holidays, on which days the amplified outdoor sounds shall be limited to 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. The indoor sounds somehow got left off of that second part. So I understand that on New Year's Eve, things end at midnight, and then it takes a little while to wrap things up and for people to go home. As far as amplified sound, however, I mean, people are sleeping. You know, people who aren't at a New Year's Eve party are sleeping. Is there any way that would you be comfortable with saying, okay, well, we can take till 1 a.m. to wrap up, but we're going to cut off our amplified sound at, 12:15 or 12:05 or whatever after the ball drops,
Right. I would defer, but yeah, I would defer that to them, but yeah, we would be fine with that, of having the amplified sound being cut off at whatever that time may be, but allowing everything to wrap up until that 1
It's going
o'clock.
to take a while for people to leave.
Right.
But they need to be respectful of their neighbors.
Right, right.
Okay, I got questions. Could somebody from the venue come up here? I got questions for them.
Certainly.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Can you state your name and address for the record?
Chuck Gillentine, 1511 Lake Sherwood Drive.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, on the property, you have existing parking. Do you know how many spots you have now?
Parking spots?
Yes.
We have fields, we have gravel parking spots. We have enough for 300 or 400 cars, at least.
Okay, and then he said before that you're looking at having a 250 max on the wedding venue?
Yes.
Okay, on your website right now, it says the pavilion seating. What is that?
I'm sorry?
On your website, you have, under private events, you have pavilion seating.
Yes, we do.
What is that?
That building can hold probably 300 people. We don't have any weddings over 250, hadn't in years.
Okay, on your website, you say pavilion seating up to 325. You have that on your website.
Okay, well, that may be on the website. I don't know that.
And then right above that, it says terrace with gazebo seating for up to 250.
They're the same.
That's-
Are you talking about the little gazebo where we have music?
I'm just saying what's on your website.
Okay, the website is 250 is inside the current building.
It says terrace with gazebo seating for up to 250.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what it says, we
Okay.
don't have any weddings over 250, haven't for years.
And then it says pavilion seating for up to 325 guests.
You can hold that many people in there for non-wedding events.
Are those two separate facilities?
No, they're same facility.
Okay. And then you're adding an additional 250?
No, the new building would be 250.
So with the new building, it would be the 250 max for the weddings, but the idea is to take the existing wedding venue that are held in the current building and move those to the new building. So it's not a double up per se, it's just a replacement.
So rather than have your outdoor events, you would have them indoors, which presumably would be quieter for the neighbors.
Yes, I mean, there's the idea too is that with the indoor event space, that acoustic sound is less with respect to the weddings. Now, there will still be certain outdoor events, but not necessarily weddings and similar issues that could be inside the building.
Will staff be limiting occupancy to 250? Will staff be limiting occupancy to 250?
We would, yes, if they're only approved in the conditional use permit at 250, that's what they would be limited to.
Okay.
Yes.
You can add a condition
It would have to be a condition. though, right?
limiting to 250.
My question is that a condition?
Currently, no.
So we've discussed
I-
a couple of conditions. We've discussed limiting it to 250. We've also discussed New Year's Eve, making the amplified sound cut off at 12:15 a.m. Do we need a motion for either of those?
Right.
If we added the conditions, yeah.
Can I have one question for clarification? Just, so with respect to the 250, can we get a clarification that that's 250 guests, right? Because if there's caterers or other related parties to the wedding, we don't necessarily, we want to be clear on whether or not that's 250 guests or 250 total people. With respect to the hall itself, the total occupancy, when you look at all the rooms, the main dance floor hall, all of those, the total occupancy is 370. So we're well below that total occupancy at that 250 guest mark.
Well, that's the question for staff. If it's occupancy is 250, is that seats at a table?
We've been doing it as guests. Over the years, when we limit, we've typically, the condition has referred to the guests. We haven't been referring to staff.
I have a question too. Being two-story, is that 250 people on both levels? Total,
No,
or
so
just-
the main event hall is on one level.
Okay. What's gonna be in the second story?
We will have some office space,
Oh, okay.
bridal room, things like that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, we also will have a basement for protection and stuff. You know, the tornado went through there a few years ago. We will have a full basement to handle things like that. Storm cellar, sorry.
And also, won't the fire department limit your guests? I mean, you know, that they take in consideration the size of your building, and then that's how many people you can have? I don't know that question.
370.
That'll be part of the process, yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Can you clarify, you were talking, I thought it was 11 maybe, with the trees, you didn't want, yeah, nope, not that one.
So this is with respect
That's
to
not the one I had a question, I don't
Oh.
think it was this, yep,
the landscape
no,
buffer.
you had a picture,
Yeah,
and you were talking about the trees on the left side of the picture,
yeah. So
who owns those trees?
the Defiance Ridge does. So the property line is approximately in this area.
Okay, I wanted to clarify the property line, I wasn't too sure.
Yeah.
Good question. I had the same questions.
Why would you have to remove trees? Why can't you put the fence in front of the trees?
To install the fence with respect to where the parking lot will be requires the removal of those trees.
Could you come up here if you're gonna talk?
Do we need to swear him in?
Do you solemnly swear or confirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth under pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
John O'Connell, 524 Fox Ridge Road. All I was saying was that the information provided by the county in terms of how a landscape barrier is to be created includes the fence being on the rear of the barrier. So it's along the property line is where the fence would go.
So you'd have to cut down the trees because they're currently on the
Yep.
property line.
Yeah, I mean, thin them out, open the space up to be able to get equipment in and build a fence. And we're just saying a green barrier would seem preferable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I do have one, and I didn't see it in any here anywhere. The parking lot, is it asphalted or is it gravel?
We're proposing gravel.
So the staff had mentioned that the default is paving, but that they have to request, instead of paving, they would have to do a dust-proof alternative,
Right.
but that they do not have the option of just dumping gravel. That's not an
Yeah, like
option.
the default is pavement, asphalt, or concrete.
And if they're going to do gravel, they have to have a very specific dust-proof,
Has
that
to be
it can't just
approved,
be,
it has to be approved first by the Division Director of Planning and Zoning.
okay. So they're not going to just dump gravel there. It's going to have to be a nicely done.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's something we would review and handle in the site plan process.
Okay.
I will say also about the fence, the type 3 landscape buffer requires a fence on the rear portion or the back portion of the trees. We're not proposing a type 3 landscape buffer. It's just a vinyl fence to keep like light pollution from going onto the neighboring property.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So this is one that we've already had the public hearing on, and we closed it last meeting. If you guys want to open it back up, I think there may be a few folks here that want to speak on it. So let's open it back up. I know a lot of questions have been answered. Give everybody a short period to bring up any new thoughts, and then we'll go from there. So this time we'll open up the public hearing for CUP 2510 again. And anyone wishing to speak will have 3 minutes. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Paul Renna. I live at 85 Holden Road, Defiance, Missouri. Good to see you all again. I am the neighbor to the north of Defiance Ridge Vineyards. My home will be approximately 400 feet from the proposed event center. The county's own UDO page says approval can include specific requirements so the CUP won't, in quote, injure the use and enjoyment of nearby properties, and close quote, or impact property values. I'm not enjoying what's going on next to me right now. This map shows 16 Defiance residents that are part of the 65 signatures on the petitions who oppose the expansion of CUP 2510 and want to keep the Defiance area agricultural. Oh, that thing is kind of tricky, isn't it? This slide shows, I'm sorry, this is a picture of the driveway that's 30 feet from the edge of my property line. You can see that it is poorly maintained and not dust-free. I'm sure there's probably something growing in the middle of it also at one point in time. We request that the paved road requirement that you've been talking about, that was Mr. Myers stated at the last meeting, that be added to the conditional use. I'm going to leave it there for a second. Insofar as from the 2018 presentation by the applicant's lawyer, he stated he, quotes, thinks that 1,000 feet from the Defiance Ridge patio, their current patio at their location, to the house, to my house, with trees and the contour of property line help mitigate potential spillover effect from outdoor music. Don't think that sound doesn't travel over these rural hills and valleys just because there are a few trees between my house and the current patio. He should come over to my house sometime and listen to the spillover effect. You've all been to weddings. You know how loud the music can be. And, you know, if this new event center is going to be 400 feet from my house, so how loud do you think that's going to be when they open those doors on the patio, when they're out on the patio? I can hear them introduce the bride and groom from their current location 1,000 feet away. So I'd like to know why the wineries get permission by counter government to allow to ignore ordinances without penalty. If we call the police, they say they do not have a decibel reader. Well, I will gladly buy one and donate it for the use in Defiance. There's an advertised Mammoth March walk in Defiance coming up in September of this year, starting at 7 a.m. They've been having that for the past 3 or 4 years. On September 7th of 2025, the loud amplified voice of a man with a microphone started at 6:45 and went on all day. The current CUP 1714 states that they can conduct weddings, receptions, or private events. This is a public event. The grounds have also been staging areas for several Defiance parades, car shows, and other public gatherings.
You're at your 3 minutes, sir, if you want to wrap it up quickly for us.
I will. At least once a week throughout the warmer months of the year, Defiance Retreat has a commercial fireworks display that lasts about 15 minutes. Through sunshine requests, we have found that there have been no requests for required permits or fees paid to have commercial fireworks displayed for 3 years. They are a fire hazard to homes, barns, fields when it's hot and dry. My question to the commission is anyone checking and enforcing these ordinances? Why do we not have, and will the applicant follow up on their approved CUPs, if it moves forward? These were the things we got from them. Just to quickly let you see what my requests are, I would like to have the parking lot moved 600 feet to the southeast, farther away from our property line. The parking lot lights that are full cutoff, dark sky and minimal illumination outside the parking area. I don't want it coming over to my place. Parking lot lights should be turned off when the events are not going on. I'd like to have everything paved, the roads and the parking lot. The mature trees that I heard them mention about, certain kinds of trees that could be planted there that don't have their leaves fall off, that would be great. And I'd like to have that fence that they may extend along the upper part near my house, extended 500 feet long. And I would like to add finally, if they're not planning on having 2 events at a time, then why do they need a second event, building, and parking lot? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth under pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Renee Rena. I live at 85 Holden Road. I am concerned about the environmental impact of the light, pollution, and dust from the location of the lighted 180 space car lot in relation to the closeness of our property and my beehives. I am also concerned about the safety of guests parking close to my apiary, which I have had in this corner of our property for 5 years. Missouri statutes recognize apiaries or beekeeping as a legitimate agricultural use on our 10 acres. A dark night sky is a resource integral to many natural resources. Bees need to sleep at night, and research is showing that artificial light at night may disrupt the bees' circadian rhythm, which may then threaten their essential role as pollinators. There are many farms with crops and fruit trees in Defiance that require pollinators. Because of the potential safety risk, I would think the applicant and P&Z would not want to have a parking lot next to our property line, which is about 75 feet from my apiary. You may be putting someone at risk of having an allergic reaction to a bee sting. I am not a lawyer, but my understanding is the Missouri Right to Farm law provides that an agricultural operation like beekeeping cannot be deemed a nuisance due to changed conditions in the area after it has operated more than 1 year, as long as it is not being run improperly. If you place the parking lot close to my apiary now, and you later complain the bees are a nuisance with the applicant's proposed events and guest parking, my apiary cannot be deemed a nuisance. For safety reasons and for the issue of artificial lights affecting the bees at night, we are asking the applicant to move their car parking lot about 600 feet southwest. My understanding is that P&Z has asked the applicant to consider moving the parking lot. Can the commission or can Mr. Myers from P&Z tell us if the applicant plans to move the proposed parking lot away from our property line? Now I see that they want to add a construction entrance, which is also right next to our property line. It appeared from that map, which is also right next to the corner of my apiary. We are asking P&Z Commission to not approve this CUP 2510, and if you approve it, to please require concessions that the applicant must abide by. We didn't move out to Defiance 30 years ago to be living next to a parking lot and have a 6,800 square foot event center 400 feet from our residence. The requested amended CUP goes way beyond the applicant's use and representations and findings for why the current CUP 17-14 was granted several years ago. This amended CUP significantly departs from the factors that lead to approving the CUP 17-14 several years ago. We hope that this P&Z Commission would avoid approving a CUP that forces an established agricultural use, my apiary, to retreat or be burdened by preventable impacts like artificial lights, noise, dust, and traffic. This CUP 2510 is a transitional change to our life and to many of our Defiance neighbors. Thank you for your consideration of our rights and the rights of our neighbors.
Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth under pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Can you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Roger Manning. I reside at 10 Walnut Springs Drive in Defiance. I've prepared a statement here. I'm going to try to stick with it, but based on some of the things I've heard, I feel compelled to kind of get off of it because I think you've all been presented with a lot of data that's quite misleading. Number one, all of us that get up here, we live in the country, and I want to make it very, very clear. If you go talk to any of the residents in the Defiance area, and I spent some time with neighbors way up on Old Colony Road this past week, which is quite a distance away from that facility, they all say, I can hear the music. They all say, we moved from St. Charles, or we moved from the city to come out to the country. We don't want commercialization to come out here. The statement about in the previous CUP was, the guy wanted to build something on the corner so we didn't have to travel out of town. We like that. We live where we want. We're not looking for local convenience. We'll drive to where it's at. So we chose Defiance for the privacy, the space, and the freedom from nuisance issues such as the noise. Our neighborhood is largely made up of older residents. Many of us go to bed early. My wife and I retire at 9 o'clock. Even my neighbor, which isn't as old as me, he's a St. Peter's police detective. He goes to bed by 9 o'clock because he has to get up in the morning. And it's very a nuisance to be rocked out of your bed at 9:15. My house is currently 1,200 feet away, not 400 feet. I can hear the DJ talking. I hear the laughter. Our roof vibrates. Our windows vibrate. It's very annoying. So when I hear about 11 o'clock at night, do you allow people in St. Charles to go past 10 o'clock? Venues or neighbors next door having parties and going past 10 o'clock? Why would we out in the country have 11 o'clock? I mean, and then I also heard the zoning is that we're agriculture tourism. Is the plan to get all of the neighbors to move away from Defiance so it can all become Pigeon Forge, Tennessee? I mean, we don't want that. It's extremely frustrating. If any of you had a piece of property and all of this went on, you would move away. You wouldn't tolerate it. So the fireworks is already mentioned. I was going to address this. It's really interesting that it took the December 17th meeting plus the citizen filing for the sunshine to find out that there has been no compliance to getting permits. But there is one now for April of 2026, the very first one. So what I'm proposing is that these fireworks displays, they need to have plans. They need to have a bonded pyrogenics professional doing this. What about Augusta Fire Department? Shouldn't they be on site in case they set the grass field next to us on fire or the trees? I don't think any of that exists. Now, here's something you'll find interesting. Last time, we kind of dodged the issue about occupancy and the number of people. And based on what I just heard, is a bunch of crap. If Defiance Ridge is approved, traffic will increase significantly. Events that currently generate 100 to 150 vehicles, and they claim that that's probably a good number, could now easily double to 200 or 330. While the project owner may dispute that the scale of the proposed building and the parking lot tells a whole different story. Large developments are not built for minimal use. We're led to believe they're okay for the future being 250. Why would you do that? That's a stupid business decision to do that. They are planning to double or triple the amount of people coming out. Now, the other thing is, have you ever been to a wedding? Did you go by yourself? So if we have 150, 180 cars, we're going to have 2, 3, 4 people. So that increases 360 to 720 people going there. So unless the county's willing to say, you can't go beyond 250, that's what's going to happen. They do expect to grow.
We're at 3 minutes, sir, if you can wrap up for us.
Okay, to prove my point on this, because this is important, I went to the St. Charles County Occupancy Code, and it's based on building IBC codes from 2021. And you do the math that your county talks about, it all depends upon whether you have tables and chairs or people are standing. I used the square footage of 4,600 square foot, not knowing how many people would actually be in the wedding. If you're seated in tables and chairs, and you have to allow for 12 to 15 foot distance from people, that's 306 to 383. So that's a large number, well beyond that. Now, if they have one of these non-weddings, and let's say they have a high school reunion or something like that, cocktail tables that are standing around, your county department says 700 people can get in that 4,600 space I'm talking about. So I just thank you all for listening to me. I think you need to understand that we're dealing with a handful of people in Defiance that own businesses, and they're the only ones that benefit. We don't benefit from all these people from the surrounding area coming in, but we have 200 plus citizens that are appealing to you that we don't want to lose our way of life to a handful of people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth under pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please
Thank
state
you.
your name and address for the record.
Okay, it's Mike Wadawa. I live at 388 Holden Road, right up the hill from Defiance Ridge. So I'm not going to go into all the stuff I mentioned last time about noise, pollution, and all that kind of thing. One of the things that I've been aware of, or became aware of, I wondered what CUP was when I came to the last meeting, and it's conditional use permit. And there are some things spelled out on there, but what really bothers me is what they're able to do beyond conditions and use and so on like that. So this is the Defiance Ridge calendar. And yeah, they're a winery and they have music, and on Saturday and Sunday, if it's nice outside, I'll go outside and maybe even listen to a little music on my deck or something. But, you know, not bad. It's 1 to 4 on Saturday and Sunday. Not too bad. But this is the calendar. 4 times in the month of January, they're going to have themed trivia nights. And it's $25 per team. So is that a winery? Is that anything agricultural? No, it's an event. This is an event center. It's, you know, it's a hall. It's a whatever. So this Friday is bingo night, movie bingo night. So if you want to come out and you want to spend $5 per person, not too bad. But once again, it's an event. Okay, these are the types of things. One of the things that really bothers me, the fireworks in the spring, in the summer, every Friday night, 9 o'clock, clockwork, fireworks display and things like that. Okay, and on Friday nights, as I mentioned, they have the trivia nights, but they also, in December, they had Butch Wax and the Hollywoods out there playing music, charging $15 per person. So, and once again, is this a winery or is this an entertainment center? And one of the things I heard tonight that they proposed really bothers me. They said that the building, the event building, is going to be for weddings and birthdays and receptions. And what they also said was similar occurrences. Okay? Well, what does that mean? That's pretty open, isn't it? And if they're having bingo this Friday, maybe next month they're going to have casinos. And they're going to bring in some, you know, machines and things like that. So that's the thing that really bothers me about the whole Defiance Ridge, is that they like to do as much as they can to get around these things or bend it. It was a beautiful farm. They got a conditional use permit to make it a nursery. Then they came in, some people came in and they wanted to sell a few glasses of wine, a winery. Okay, and we'll grow some grapes. Okay, I don't know if I'll be around 5 or 10 years from now, but what's it going to be then? Is it going to be a Las Vegas casino down there or something like that? So Let's keep it agricultural, let's keep it quiet. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Hold on. So, you're right. It's all right.
I can let him go first if you want. See if I'll wait till you guys are done and then I'll say.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Hudson Shade, 2670 South Highway 94, Defiance, Missouri. I did send you guys a letter. I hope you've read it. I don't want to go over every piece of it for time. So basically, what I wanted to do was, first thing was add a little detail. Everybody talks about the fireworks. And one of the slides that Paul said was 2023, no permits were pulled. That was one of the years where we had a bad drought. Even the governor came out and said, you know, to watch fires and that, and be careful. Weather Services, the USDA also. We noted that on Saturday, May 6th, fireworks were shot off. Friday, June 16th, Saturday, June 17th, Friday, July 7th, Friday, July 14th, Saturday, October 21. In 22, they shot off fireworks, and that was the year, if you remember, there was a combine fire in central Missouri, and it burnt down half of a town. And in that year, the farmers around Defiance stopped their harvest because they were afraid their combines would catch on fire. But yet, Defiance Ridge lit off fireworks on October 15th. And those dates are just the ones that we noted from our house. That doesn't mean that that was the only times they were shot off. It was just the times that we noted. So, and then the Mammoth March. It occurred on September 10th, September 10th of 23, September 8th of 24, and September 7th of 25. All three times we called the police because this was going on early in the morning. I think Paul noted 6:45. You know, I live across 94 from Paul and Renee. Our house is, our border is about 740 feet from there to the other side of Paul and Renee's house. So the property line for Defiance Ridge. I could hear that in my bedroom with the window shut. It would be, my wife was on the porch. She couldn't enjoy her coffee because this guy's running his mouth all day long. I mean, do you really need amplified sound and telling people, oh, come up here, you're almost ready to run? Why can't you just gather them up? Why does it have to be a loud PA system that's even louder than some of their music? And as far as they were talking about right now, the weddings, they could only have one because they don't have the staff and the capability to have more. But what's to say they don't get that capacity? And in addition, are they going to not have just an outside come and drink wine and listen to our band while we're having an indoor wedding inside?
We're 3 minutes, if you can wrap up for us.
Okay. So basically, what I'm trying to say is they take advantage. They do push the envelope. And in fact, I think they've exceeded it. So just because they say that we don't think we're going to do this, that doesn't mean that they won't. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to me.
Anybody else from this side?
Aren't you on our side, Norm? We'll see. You live in Defiance, aren't you on our side?
That's my piece.
Don't you hear?
For the third time.
Okay, sorry I came up here.
You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the
Yes,
truth and
of
nothing but the
course,
truth under
of
pains
course.
and penalties of perjury. Name and
And,
address for the record.
Okay, Norm Keller, 211 Lee Street, Defiance, Missouri. First of all, I just want to talk about the fireworks. Everything that these guys shoot off is 500 grams, which is sold at the, counter level. So you don't need a pyrotechnician to light any of these fireworks. They're 500 grams. I moved to Defiance not 35 years ago, only 19 years ago, and I own a historic bed and breakfast that's about a half mile from their place. I do not hear any noise. I don't recognize any difference in traffic. Everything they're doing is fully in compliant with the rules that they're governed by. But something that has not been mentioned tonight so far is the 30-year master plan, which you guys in government, county council, have devised. It's controlled growth. And what these guys are proposing to do, first of all, I want to say I will not exceed my 3 minutes either. What these guys are proposing to do falls completely in line with the 30-year master plan. It would be a disappointment if this doesn't get approved. I fully support it. Thank you for letting me speak.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Barry Greenberg. I live at 7303 Vine Avenue. And I'm a registered architect. And some of the claims that were made previously with regards to occupant load, the International Building Code is very specific on how you calculate your occupant load, and the occupant load is mainly designed to ensure life safety. So we have provisions in the project not only for fire safety, but we have a storm shelter in compliance with ICC 500, which I think is a benefit to the existing facility also. With regards to fireworks, that's a policy issue. I don't think that's governed by zoning ordinance, so I'm not sure why there's. And let me just say that in my other life, besides an architect, I'm mayor of Maplewood, Missouri, and we would love to have this facility in Maplewood, actually. And as far as the use group issue with regards to the code, it doesn't allow casinos. So stating that there's going to be 3 times as many people and other uses that aren't allowed doesn't make sense to me, and shouldn't be part of your decision-making process. With regards to sound, we regulate sound by decibel levels at certain distances, and you quantify the sound, and we have different opinions on whether the noise is a problem or not. I assume that you have regulations for the county that limit the sound intensity at a certain distance. As you, in the same manner, we can limit the light cutoff. Just because there's lights doesn't mean that there's going to be lights on adjacent properties. There's a million different lighting fixtures that have, since I went to architecture school, but that have very specific cutoffs. They can provide light where they need light, and it doesn't become a glare problem on adjacent properties. So, most of the issues that I've heard stated, there are solutions to those, and some of the issues that I've heard stated aren't really building or zoning issues at all. So, and just one last comment with regards to economic development. The sales tax from this property, from the development, goes to the county of St. Charles. And I designed Schlafly Bottle Works, I designed Side Project Brewery, and I'm not sure where we would be in Maplewood without the additional revenue and the other economic development that's occurred since those projects were developed. So, I think that needs to be taken into consideration too, the economic benefit, and it's also stated it's in compliance with the comprehensive plan that's projected for the future. So thank you for your time.
Sure.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Are you the architect on this project?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so the extra parking that they're adding, 160 spots, and they're saying that there's already, what, almost 300? Is that correct, or am I missing something here?
Actually, I'm the architect for the building. I'm not the civil engineer for the
Oh, okay.
for the site plan.
Because I have a question for maybe somebody else on the parking. You?
Okay.
We can have him come back up once we close the public hearing.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. For him. Anyone wishing to speak? All right, seeing no one, we will close the public hearing, CUP 2510, and bring it back to the commission if the applicant would come forward. Anybody have any questions for applicant? And I know we've already got one.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so how many parking spots are there already?
Do you want him to swear in?
Oh, does he need to?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
John Stanek, 3625 North Moore School Road.
So how many spots are there currently?
We don't know how many there are currently, but I would estimate probably 80 to 100 that's paved parking.
Okay.
So when they have overflow, they use the field that we are going to call parking.
Okay.
So to say that we're going to have 300 more vehicles, there's no way possible.
So if I'm not mistaken, there's codes that say you have to have like 5.5 parking spots per 1,000 square feet. Something, I don't know what it is.
You're right.
There. Is
You're
that
correct.
right? Okay.
Yes, so per code, you have, and that goes off square footage of your business.
Right.
Yes.
So if this business has 250 people, how many spots I mean, it sounds like you have more than enough spots.
We should for both facilities, yes. But to say that we're going to have 180 more vehicles than we do now, it's not possible because there's not that room there. So where people are parking right now is an open field.
Right.
We're going to make that gravel for this facility.
Okay. And I guess one of my questions was because somebody had commented about the parking lot being so close to her with her bees.
Yeah.
Is there a way you can figure out per code how many spots you have to have so maybe you can move it over a little bit away from her property?
Yeah, and that's something that I wanted to talk about too. That's on the plan. Can you pull the plan back up, like the site plan? It shows the 15-foot buffer that's there, and everything's to scale on here. We've had this surveyed and everything. So if you look at that drawing, you can see that 15-foot is actually probably 30 to 40 feet in a lot of spots.
Okay.
Now, I don't disagree that maybe we need another buffer down low, maybe do some greenery down low, or the 6-foot fence. The greenery would actually look better, obviously, for a winery. But I don't disagree with needing that. But yeah, you can see here, especially on the left side.
Right.
Right there, you can see that, that's 15 foot there, and it's 15 foot there. So there's a lot of greenery that's over here that, it makes the 15-foot buffer.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the engineer?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Did you look at, or have you looked at, if you pave that, how much additional runoff would impact the adjacent properties?
And that's something we will address.
You haven't done that yet?
We
I'm
have
just
not.
curious.
We have not. There's a pond there, so our initial thought was to increase the size of the pond to have a bigger retention pond.
Yeah, I mean, I think a gravel is appropriate here. I mean, I think if we paved it, I mean, would most of that drainage go into the pond? I'm trying to remember that back. Oh, okay.
Drains in that direction.
It wouldn't go off the offside area to those adjacent properties then?
Yeah, it'd be retention, so I would have to do calculations. to figure out
Except
retention.
except the entrance, if
Same
you.
runoff, so your runoff tomorrow after the development would be the same as this.
Well, but if you pave the access drive,
Oh.
you wouldn't be able to detain that. So technically, you would be increasing the runoff on the adjacent properties if you did pave it. Is that safe to say?
Gravel and asphalt really kind of have the same permeability.
You think so? Okay.
It doesn't really increase.
I mean, it's a little different, but yeah. Okay, thank you.
I got a question. Several of the speakers said about moving the parking lot. Have you looked at that?
We haven't, when I drew this up, they had spoken about using that grass area, right there, the grass area for parking. So when I designed this area, I just did the whole thing gravel to make sure we had enough. Now, when we go back to do, if we get approved, we'll go back and see how many required spaces that we have to have for the existing facility and for this facility.
But what about, they specifically said about moving it 600 feet south.
Yeah, 600 feet would not be feasible. And part of the design for the building, so I wish I had a more zoomed out view of the aerial, but part of the design for the building, which will be here, the pond, which is here, and then the proposed parking, it all builds into each other. So the parking lot couldn't necessarily be moved southern to the south anyway. Number one, there's these trees here, and then number two, the way the property lays out, it's just that area is the best suited area for the parking.
But potentially you could, on the north side, I believe it's the northeast side, she said the bees were on the other side, potentially you could like have 2, 3, 4 parking spaces that weren't gravel, that was just grass there, that you had less parking to keep people away from that. 10 acres.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Oh, what about the question on turning off the lights when there are no events there?
I don't have a problem, yeah.
That'll be.
That'd be acceptable to add that as a condition?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's still, to me, a question on the total occupancy of the whole event space.
So, as Barry said before, that is predicated by the International Building Code. So the fire district will come in and they'll say, hey, this is what we will design it for this, they will approve that. And yes, it may be around 300, 320 people, but, we're not expecting to be able to sit that many people inside of the building.
Okay, but you were saying before 250.
Yes.
Right,
And
so
I was prepared
if
to
I
do a
can,
condition of 250.
I can add a quick clarification on that, I think. So the way that the building is currently designed, the main hall event space will be approximately 4,200 square foot. And based on the occupancy load calculation, the total number of people that would be permitted in that space is 286. And so that's where it comes back into the entire building itself. When you add up all the rooms with the entire square footage and each room individually, it comes to the total of 370. But the event space itself is 286, which then the number of guests would be at that 250 mark is what the maximum number of guests would be is what is being shot for.
So you wouldn't have a problem with having a condition of a 250 max?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
250 maximum guest.
It's similar to what you pulled up. You said that their facility said something like 320. During a wedding event, obviously, they're gonna have a dance floor, so that's why they probably have the lower number, because they used the pavilion also. I'm guessing that's why that is. Because most of your occupancy is based off the International Building Code and approved by the fire district.
But yeah, the 250, that's fine.
So it seems to me like there's a lot of specific details that have been gone over tonight, and it's going to be a bit to go through all of them. But I have another question specifically regarding amplified sound. Right now, everything is indoors and outdoors. It seems to me that it makes sense to have those be different. I mean, outdoor amplified sound would clearly travel farther than indoor amplified sound. Would you all be open to having a different time for the indoor versus the outdoor?
Are you In terms of the condition, you mean number 7 there?
Yeah, because, I mean, you said that your basic reason here for building this building was, for the most part, to bring what you're currently doing outdoors and bring it indoors, which I would think would be a net positive for people who wanted less sound traveling to their houses. But if you're going to have it all indoors and then also have it outdoors, that's not going to improve the sound issues.
I think that's
sound cut off at an earlier time than
I'm fine with that.
Right, except for Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, which I think Sundays is not really weekend, not for the evening.
So depending on what the exact parameter would be or what that time would be, we would be fine with that. We will note that generally the lunch service and the outdoor, it shuts off at 4 p.m., right?
Yeah.
Right, so from that standpoint, but for having different cutoffs for the indoor sound versus outdoor sound, we would be okay with.
Okay.
Within,
And I'm curious too, you have here to 9 p.m. on any day except for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and legal holidays. Why Sunday? I mean, people go to work the next day on Sunday.
so this is the condition as proposed by staff. That's not our language.
Okay.
I took that from the proposed condition.
Because, I mean, Fridays and Saturdays make sense to me, but like a Sunday night going till 11 p.m., I mean, you got to get up and go to work on Monday.
There are holidays on Mondays, and sometimes we have weddings on Sunday nights.
Okay.
Very rarely.
Well, that would fall under legal holidays, I guess, or not entirely if the holiday was Monday and then you had it on a Sunday.
Right, and I think that was what the intent was. If in the event that there's a Monday holiday, then having the Sunday before being allowed to be open till 11 to filter into that holiday.
Okay. If we did do the different for the indoor and outdoor sound, would you be open to having outdoor sound finish at 9 p.m. in general? Or, I mean, what would be what do you think would be a reasonable time to finish up with the outdoor amplified sound?
Outdoor amplified sound, reasonable time to end that.
Well, you know, on our concert tonight, we end at 9. And most of our weddings, the music is over by, is inside mostly. It's over by 11. Most everybody's gone by 11.
Right. I'm talking about the outdoor sound. What do you think would be a reasonable, could you do 9 o'clock every day for the outdoor sound? Not the indoor. Indoor's separate because that's closed.
It's, some weddings, you know, they want music outdoors on certain days, in summertime and this and that, but most of the time it's inside.
But from just the standard condition, if they said no outdoor sound past 9 o'clock, would that be acceptable?
Yeah, I think so. Let's talk about it. John had something to say about the conditional use permit.
Yeah, he said that was just the current. Yeah, that's in the yeah. So if outdoor sound was cut off at 9 p.m., I think that would be acceptable.
Okay.
To have that differentiation.
All right. Any other questions for staff?
Kyle, do you have extensive notes for all of these
No, I don't.
suggested?
I'm actually kind of lost on all the conditions that you guys have changed.
I have a few notes here.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for your help. We'll bring us back to the commission and further discuss and talk about the conditions here.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot of conditions that have been talked about. I think there's some real genuine concerns that the public has that need to be addressed. If I lived with my backyard to a wedding venue, I would definitely want to address some of these things. I don't know that they're not solvable issues, but I think that if we don't at least attempt to solve them, that we're doing the public a disservice. A lot of the things that were talked about, we've got sound, we've got lighting, we've got a paved parking lot or a paved road. They talked about distance from the apiary. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything else. Do you have
The
other things?
timing of New Year's Eve.
Yeah, New Year's Eve specifically
We
was
can have
discussed.
the conditions from the packet pulled up on that screen
would be
if
awesome.
if you find that helpful. If we can pull that up back
And
there.
then the applicant had also requested some changes to some of the conditions, specifically landscape buffers. He'd said he didn't want to have a site fence. He preferred to use green space. There were some specific things there. So I don't know if they have those written out that we could look at. That would be helpful as well. They're requested changes.
So obviously, anything in bold is added, anything struck out is removed. This is the conditions from CUP 1714. So, and I guess anything not bolded is just carried over from the previous CUP.
So, I mean, I'll get started. I'll go ahead and make a motion that number 7, we change, I don't know how to word it exactly, but that we separate the indoor and outdoor sound, and that we say that all outdoor amplified sound shall be cut off at 9 p.m.
Sorry, can you say that again? Sorry.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, can you say that
Yeah,
again?
no, I'm going to make a motion that we change number 7 to separate the indoor and outdoor sound, and to suggest that the outdoor sound, outdoor amplified sound specifically, be cut off at 9 p.m. every day.
Okay.
And we can leave the indoor at 11 p.m. on the weekends.
Jennifer, I have a question.
Okay?
On your amplified, looking at the proposed restriction, when is your start time for outdoor amplified sound?
They have it at 11 a.m.
Okay, so you're going to leave that at 11.
I'm okay with, oh, did they, I think they wanted 10 a.m.
10.
actually. Which, I mean, I think that's fine. People are awake by 10 a.m. I think the evening is more of the condition, is more of the problem than the morning. Of course, we can address the 6:45 issue, but that's not really a planning and zoning issue. That's more of a, they're already breaking a condition there, so.
Do we have to do anything for fireworks? It sounds like they're not really doing commercial fireworks, so do we actually need to put that as a condition?
You can, but any firework display requires a permit from our.
A display, but not lighting them off?
I mean, it's a display, so.
Oh, is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so building and code enforcement issues a firework display, and there's some requirements that they have to submit with that firework display.
Do we want that as a condition? I mean, it sounds like they're not doing it now, but it seems like a concern.
So with respect to the fireworks issue, Defiance Ridge did have an issue where there was an employee in charge of receiving and obtaining those permits. That employee left, and that issue, as an administrative issue, fell through the cracks. And when learned about, we have since then reinstituted that process of ensuring that those permits are obtained, as the gentleman had said that there has been a permit obtained here for an event coming up. So that issue moving forward will be corrected and not repeated.
I mean, that's an enforcement issue with
Right, and
whoever.
it's-
I mean, we don't have the authority to fine you or do anything to that. That's somebody else's job.
Right.
All right, so we have a motion on the table to amend number 7 to limit the amplified outdoor sound to 9 p.m. and also bring the start time to 10 on every day.
On every day,
Yep.
yeah.
So do we have a second? All in
Do we need
favor?
somebody to write it specific language for us?
Oh, I thought staff.
Is that staff
Robert's,
doing that?
Robert's hands are moving like crazy.
Okay, awesome.
I'm not writing it word for word, I'm just taking notes on. So you're saying for number 7, separate indoor and outdoor sound, and the indoor would be from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Outdoor sound.
10 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays. Every day, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. for every day, right? But
During the
then,
week.
But during the week. But then Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays, we're separating indoor and outdoor. So indoor would still be 10 to 11 p.m. Outdoor would be 10 to 9 p.m. Does that make sense?
Not really.
No? Let me start over. Okay. So all amplified sound, indoors and outdoors, shall be limited to 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. on any day, except, and that says expect, by the way, it should say except, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and legal holidays, on which days the amplified outdoor sounds shall be limited to 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's the only difference. So, because the second part, they don't say anything about indoor sounds. So then the indoor sounds would be still under 10 a.m. to, I guess it would still be 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. because they don't have, well, it's not what I said before, but what's interesting is that the current one doesn't say anything about 11 p.m. for indoor sounds. I guess we need to add that in then and say that the amplified indoor sounds shall be limited to 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., and the amplified outdoor sounds shall be limited to 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Does that make sense? Who is writing this down?
No one's writing it down just because it's so complicated. What we could do is we could listen to the audio visual
Okay.
and create something.
Okay, that's
That'd be
cool.
one way to deal with it. Or you could just make that motion verbally and take a vote on it, I suppose. and
All right,
then-
I will make the motion verbally, and I will read it exactly how I think we should have it.
Okay.
So, number 7, I think it should say, all amplified sound, indoors or outdoors, shall be limited to 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. on any day, except Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and legal holidays, on which days the amplified outdoor sounds shall be limited to 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., and the amplified indoor sounds shall be limited to 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. during the business hours of operation.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor of amending number 7 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections?
Aye.
All right. That amendment passes.
So it's not an objection.
Now, what other ones do we want to attack here?
Sorry, I should have, it didn't ring bell, but they did ask for a July 4th exception, which we did not address.
A July 4th exception on sound? New Year's Eve. I think it was
Or
New
it's
Year's
New Year's-
Eve.
yeah, it was New Year's
Yeah, that would be a separate exception.
But I don't think it's on a separate line. So
It's
do
not
we-
on there at all.
Should we have folded that into 7, or do we just create a new one?
Create a new one.
Create a new one.
Yeah. Do you want to do that one?
I think on number 10, it says all exterior lighting include but not limited to parking lot standards and building wall pack lighting shall conform, so forth and so on. I think that needs to also say exterior lighting will be turned off when events are not ongoing. So we'll need that motion as well.
Just add that at the very end. So I'll make a motion that number 11 added to the end of it.
10.
10.
I'm sorry, number 10, you're right. Added to the end of it after and, we can put and all exterior lighting shall be extinguished when events are not ongoing.
So the only discussion I would have on that is, we said all exterior lighting, right? So having some lighting on the side of a building is necessary for safety and that
Sure.
sort of thing. I get that.
Okay.
So I don't want to limit it too much, but if we can say parking lot lights
Okay.
and/or if we say something about, it already has on here, right? To make sure that that light, the section is making sure that the adjoining properties, so that, I think that handles it, but making sure the outside big lights are turned off at a
So how do
reasonable
you
time.
want to separate that? You want to say the big lights? I think they're.
No.
Say all parking lot lights shall
All
be
parking lot lights?
turned off while events are not in session.
Do you want to motion that? I'll let you do it. Go ahead.
I can't make a motion.
Oh, you can't make a
I
motion?
thought, I mean, I think you gotta be, you're gonna have employees. I mean, it needs to be, I wouldn't, if I had employees working for me, I don't want employees working in the dark.
That
So
makes sense.
even though the event's over, I mean, we can't, in my opinion.
We're talking when there's no events.
Well, we
But
said when the
if
events are not
yours-
ongoing, so if the event's
Well,
finished, but the
Right.
employees are still cleaning up,
Yeah. The problem is you'd have to have a definition of event.
that's true.
You're gonna have to have lights in that, on the parking lot if, there is no event, but someone is in the original building and, they're getting ready to leave. Now, it's a safety issue for Defiance Ridge when that person stumbles and falls trying to get through the dark out to that parking lot.
I mean, it's hard to legislate somebody into being a good neighbor.
The design of the lights, there's enough of that in the code, Robert. The design of the lights should downcast, the parking lot lights to keep the light pollution from, the neighbors.
Correct. Correct. That section 405-421 that handles shielding, orientation, illumination levels at the property line. So those, they would have to comply with all
So we
those.
think we're good,
Right.
okay.
But
Full cutoff.
well, the condition is kind of designed for full cutoff lighting, so like a
So
level point.
it shouldn't be creating light pollution, is what you're saying?
Yes,
Or
full
minimal light
cutoff.
pollution?
Full cutoff lighting should ideally, yeah.
Meets the international dark sky standards, the full cutoff should.
Dark sky standards, that's good. Okay, what's next?
Does that cover just all lighting that's even currently, or this just gonna be, does this only impact new?
All lighting.
All lighting.
So they
So
may-
like that
they may
section,
have to change.
all lighting has to comply with section 405-421 regardless.
So what about the parking lot and the road? We've discussed paving. What do you guys think about that?
I don't think that.
I don't think it's
No.
necessary.
As long as they have a dust-free, I mean, they already said that they have to have some sort of dust-free system. Okay.
Does that in here specific? I think it's
Didn't you have some requests yourself?
Yeah, so that's what I was just looking at here. I had it in my my presentation. So, in connection with the change on number 7 regarding the amplified sound, we would also request that number 6 be amended to change the start time from 11 a.m. to 10 a.m. to be consistent across
That makes sense.
Is that a motion that you're?
Yeah,
you're
so
making?
we motion that number 6, no outdoor or indoor event shall be held after 11 p.m. or earlier than 10 a.m.
Can we add on to that with the exception of New Year's Eve, which can go until midnight?
Well, didn't we say we needed to do a whole nother one
Well,
because,
this talks about that. I think it should be, we can put
well,
it in
because
here.
it also has to do amplified sound on New Year's Eve. So
Yeah, you're right.
that's like a whole.
So we have a
new-
motion to amend number 6 to say earlier than 10 a.m. Rather than 11 a.m. Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? All right, seeing none, number 6 now is earlier than 10, and then we can tackle the New Year's Eve.
Do you have any suggested wording on that?
I did want to just mention real quick, we had 2 other requests on number 9 with respect to the buffer along that western side of the property. Again, that was pre-existing green space. We would request that, from respect to number 9, that remove the requirement that the buffer be put on the western side of the property, but we understand the northern side would require that buffer.
So doesn't the green space that you have now basically already qualify for a buffer?
Yeah, I haven't reviewed it from the standpoint of what the technical requirement is. I know that there's a chance that it could qualify, but I don't know the answer to that 100% one way or the other.
So if we were to remove that requirement, then if it doesn't qualify, you wouldn't have to make it qualify. But if we leave the requirement on there, then if it already
Right.
qualifies, then you don't have to do anything.
Right, that's true. Yeah, and that's reasonable. That was just one of them. And then the last one that we had requested was with respect to number 11, and changing from a 6-foot site-proof fence to being evergreen or some other similar planting to accomplish the same site-proof intent instead of the fence to avoid tree removal.
That's probably a question for staff. Is that even permissible?
What's the, I guess, what
Well,
specifically?
he's wanting
are
to
you-
get rid of number 11, and instead of having a site-proof fence, he wants to have, I guess, some sort of a landscape buffer instead. Is that allowable, that we can change it? Because he's already got, there's already a type 2 landscape buffer on the northern property line, but then number 11 has a 6-foot site-proof fence as well, and he's wanting to get rid of that and use some sort of landscape buffer instead. Is that
Yeah, they
even
can do-
allowed?
They can do a landscape buffer, so, I mean, it could
Because they've
be-
already got one, type 2. Would we need to
Yeah,
change it to like type 3 or something?
Well, but I think that
No.
also comes down to the public comment and the property owners being so close. That's gonna help with sound, trees die, things go away. I don't know, I think the fence, and it was even brought up as a comment that we wanna put 500 feet or 600 feet or 700 feet to make sure that fence goes. So I don't even know that removing it is
Well,
worth
the other
it.
thing is, people can walk through trees. And especially
Absolutely.
if there's bees on the other side, you don't want anyone walking onto the other person's property and getting into that apiary for their safety.
I just think the fence is gonna be better, because the neighbors are close.
Right away where
It's not gonna take 3 years to get the buffer installed.
Right.
Okay, so, the,
That's fine. We're fine with the fence. That's,
Did you have any other requests?
no. The
Except
only.
for the New Year's Eve?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
That was the
Okay.
last one. In terms of suggesting language, whether, obviously it's the commission's, option or decision, but I guess there could be a new condition added that something along the lines of notwithstanding any other condition here into the contrary, the applicant shall. That's what John wrote. Right. Shall be able to, let's see.
You don't want to say notwithstanding any other condition,
Or
because there are
not-
other conditions
yeah,
already.
Notwithstanding the other condition.
So you're asking for an exception to the other conditions.
Right. Let's see.
all amplified sound, indoors and outdoors. Okay, so the problem is we've got the sound and the no outdoor, indoor event. Two different conditions talk about this.
Correct.
I don't know what preamble you want before we go
No,
into that.
that's, yeah, you can just suggest that,
Okay.
I think.
I was going to suggest any New Year's Eve event, A, shall have amplified sound limited to 10 a.m. to 12:15 a.m., and B, shall end by 1 p.m. I think those were the, 1 a.m., excuse me, I think those were the times that you had said.
When you say shall end by 1 a.m., does that mean people are going to be gone by 1 a.m., or that you're going to close up shop and then people will start to leave at 1 a.m.?
I think the intent would be that once the music would be off, people would start leaving, and then.
And they'd
by
be
that-
gone by 1
They're
a.m.
mostly gone.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what,
you may have some employees cleaning up, right?
right,
But
right.
Yes, we would.
So what was your language again?
Any New Year's Eve event, A, shall have amplified sound limited to 10 a.m. to 12:15 a.m., and B, shall end by 1 o'clock a.m.
That seems reasonable.
That should probably be specified, like December 31st into January.
Oh, sure.
Because 12:15 is no longer December 31st.
So events which take place,
On
which
December
begin on December 31st,
At 10
shall,
a.m.
at 10 a.m.
shall begin no earlier than 10 a.m. and shall end, no, and the amplified sound, oh, we got to start this over. Amplified sound, okay.
So,
Read that again, please.
I think so. Any New Year Eve event,
So we need to say any event beginning on December 31st, rather than any New Year's Eve event, because you can just
Well,
call anything a New
yeah.
Year's Eve event.
tying the date to the time. So shall be limited to 10 o'clock a.m. on December 31st and music shall end at 12:15 a.m. on January 1st and shall end by 1 a.m. on January 1st.
Okay,
Instead of
so,
saying music, say amplified sound.
Or amplified sound, yes.
yeah, I was gonna ask that too,
Yeah,
because you're
that's-
saying any music?
No,
you're saying
amplified- that I was-
amplified music? Yeah,
So amplified sound stops at 12.
15
15
a.m.
on January 1st.
so any event beginning on December 31st may use amplified sound between the hours of 10 a.m. on December 31st and 12:15 a.m. on January 1st. Any such event must end by 1 a.m. on January 1st.
Yes.
Do we have a second? All in favor of amending to get the New Year's Eve times correct, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? All right. Seeing none.
Is there anything else that we?
Any other?
What about limiting guest occupancy to 250?
Oh, yeah, we could do that, yeah.
So I'm under the impression that with the building codes the way they are and the fire district down there, not very huge, but I don't know how much they put on occupancies, but I would think that if they've got a building, we don't, what if you have 251 guests? My gosh, we already have legislation and regulations in, why do we need to muddy the waters and put more? To me, the 240 versus 260 on the guest list is nothing. We already have this code that says we cannot go over.
They can't go over
And they're going to
283.
make it happen anyway because the state and the building codes and the county codes say they can't have more than 384.
Well, they said 283 in the
whatever
event
it is,
space, so
right?
that's not
But
much
that's
more than 250 anyway.
staff. That's the caterers coming
Yeah.
in. That's people, out and about. We already have that. We have codes. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Is I don't think we limit a max occupancy on the guest list because what does that do for us? So then you say, well, I did have 250 guests. I also have 55 volunteers. Now I'm at 305.
That's a good point.
So I just don't know that that's worth it for us when
Should be
we
a
already is
sign
a
of
building code.
There should be an occupancy sign, 80 resident, or, whatever it is.
Sure, absolutely. So I just,
They're strict
I
on
don't-
it too.
right, to me, I think we're muddying the waters there.
Can I request, there was a gentleman, I believe it was, I can't remember your name, I'm so sorry. And I think he had a list of conditions that he wanted. Can we see those? I'm not saying we're going to put them in, but can we see them? He had them written down. Do you guys have them?
They were on the computer here.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Can we put those up?
Presumably, yeah.
They'll have to do it from the back.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to remember what they were.
You need me to show it on that screen there?
I think they can do it in the back. We're just
Yeah.
waiting for him to do it.
It's going to be one of the public comment presentations. Perfect. Oops,
Oops, back to the other
go
one.
back to the last one.
Okay. Oh, back? Okay. So we talked about number one. We said that's not going to work. Number two, we've already got. That's already in there. Number three, we talked about, and we decided that that wasn't going to work because it wasn't specific enough. Pave the parking lot, we talked about. Type 3 buffer, what is the difference between a type 2 and a type 3 buffer?
Okay, so a type 2 buffer is typically between residential and commercial, and it includes vegetation. A type 3 buffer is typically for along industrial properties. It includes vegetation and a fence.
But we've already said that we need vegetation and a fence on the northern side, so that's pretty much already being done.
What was suggested by staff was a fence along the edge of the parking lot to cut off the car lights, which is a little bit different. It's not, if it were a type 3 landscape buffer, it would be pushed all the way to the property line. It would extend all the way along the property line. But what we had suggested was a fence along the edge of the parking lot just to cut off the lights and then vegetation behind that.
So it's kind of a distinction without a difference. It's a matter of whether the fence is in front of or behind the trees.
Yeah, I mean,
Sounds like
we
it's
weren't
pretty similar.
suggesting doing a fence all the way along the entire property line. We were doing it for specifically to cut off the headlights there along the edge
Okay.
of the parking lot.
Well, it sounds like that's what they're looking for. They're saying to block vision, so that's already being covered. Okay, extend the fence along the parking lot, 500 feet long, enough to block the view of the parking lot and the event center. I don't know, that's a pretty big expense. And there's already trees.
And we've got the northern side of the proposed parking lot, and that's where most of the impact
Right.
is going to come from.
And there's already trees there too that are blocking vision. Okay, contain music to inside the event center, no music on outside deck. I mean, I understand the desire for that. We've already
We've helped with
taken.
the timings.
Yeah, we've already made the timing go back to 9 PM, so I think that that's a good compromise.
Agree?
So if you did the type 3, you'd have to cut down trees on the property line?
No, what I would do is just, rather than do a type 3 landscape buffer.
No, what they're asking for is type 3. So if they did it, you would have to cut trees down on the property line?
There's not enough room between the parking lot and the property line. They would have to cut some trees down.
Yeah, you know what, technically, the code doesn't say whether you put the fence on the inside landscape buffer or the outside. I've seen it both ways, so I don't know. If you put the fence, a new fence along the property line, I think, yes, you'd have to cut down some trees along that property line, but who's to say you can't pull that fence off the property line?
Yeah.
It sounds like there's not much difference anyway between what they're already doing and a type 3. I mean, the only difference is the length of the fence, really. Right? Do I have that
I
right?
mean, possibly. Usually the buffer is long enough to buffer the view of the new development. I can't tell you what that distance is off the top of my head, though.
Okay, but it's pretty similar to what they've already got. There's not a giant.
Right, the
difference
idea is
between-
that if a car's driving north in the parking lot, that there's the fence there that blocks the headlight
Right.
from going into their
Well,
property.
but that's already, I mean, you've already got that as a condition. They've got a
Right,
site-proof
so that's
fence.
why we just
Right.
have the type 2, which is just trees, no
Right,
fence.
okay. Is there anything we're forgetting? I'm looking at these minutes, by the way. I've been reading the minutes from last time, this whole time, to make sure that anything that was said last time we're addressing. I'm not seeing anything that we're missing. I mean, we talked about water sprinklers, but that was already addressed in
That'll be
building codes.
code. All right.
I think we've addressed
Any further discussion on this CUP? Not, I'll seek a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Is that motion subject to the conditions presented by staff as amended?
Seek a motion to approve CUP 2510 with the amended conditions as presented.
Go ahead.
Second.
Motion, second. All right. We'll run a roll call here. Ms. Kushner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Niemiller?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Ms. O'Mara?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion passes. All right. That was a long one. 2 months in a row. At this time, we did approve the minutes in October, but I'm under the impression that there was a small typo in it. So just for transparency, we're going to repass the minutes for October 15th. So if those are approved, we'll seek a motion.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor of approving October 15th minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections?
Aye.
All right, next on the agenda is approval of the minutes from December 17th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
A motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor of approving December 17th minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections?
Aye.
All right, seeing none, moving on to other business, planning and zoning division updates.
I'd like to welcome this evening Denise Amara as a new planning zone commissioner. And as well, we have Joe Quinn, who was here last time, but so now we have 8 of the 10 Planning Zoning Commissioner positions filled. And so we're getting closer, but we now have, 2 open positions. If you know of anyone who would be interested in serving, they can contact the county executive's office, and that would be great. Also, like to welcome one of our newest planners here today, Jamaica Whitehead, to my right. And also this evening, stepping in is Stephen Tomlinson as well, for legal staff.
What district are the 2 open positions? Are they county council district specific?
Yes, they are, and I can email all of you which the districts are. I just can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Robert, I have a question.
Yes.
What's the status of the application last month on Bogey Hills? The church that's not a church in the gym?
Right.
What's the status of that application?
Okay, so the applicants at that meeting withdrew their application for rezoning. Subsequently, they have submitted an application to us for a conditional use permit in the single-family residential zoning district for a private club, a private athletic club. So that application should be going at the February, is that right? Planning and Zoning Commission meeting?
Yeah,
Or-
assuming they have all their assuming it's a complete application. So there's some work that they still have to do.
Yeah. We carefully reviewed whether or not it would be would be eligible to apply for a conditional use permit. And we did extensive research on conditional use permits on private membership clubs back to 1959 over the years. Also our definition of private membership club. We feel it's eligible. At the same time, I have to acknowledge that we've received a series of reports from neighbors that there's ongoing activity here for these private events. We've sent them letters, we've talked to them in person, sent them emails. Most recently, we met with them one-on-one, and just as of yesterday, I think, we received a message from them that they would be stopping all of those events and doing them elsewhere. And so we've cautioned them that they should not be undertaking these events until or unless they receive approval.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, any update on the master plan, when the next time we're going to see something?
Yes. So for the master plan, as of this week, we have a draft master plan under internal review. We have a future land use map draft and thoroughfare plan we're finalizing. So we're getting close to a complete packet that we'll be sending to the Master Plan Steering Committee and we hope to be holding a meeting soon and have an entire package of all the documents.
Anything else to come before the group? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Meeting adjourned.
Object.
You got outvoted, buddy.
Guys, I think